All right. So I'll do a quick shoot on using the file system in Bitburner. So one of the things that I use this a lot for is for how to share state across scripts, and I find that once you actually learn about using read and write, it can be quite powerful. Firstly, it costs zero RAM, so you've effectively got so it doesn't cost you anything to sort of share this state. Um, and yeah, it just enables once you understand this concept, it just enables more complex interactions. So in this sort of example, we're going to create a new sort of state file where, look, I've just made an example state object where I'm recording maybe where what the current game state is, whether I'm in early game or whatnot, which servers I can hack, maybe which servers I've purchased, and factions I've completed. So it's just like for obviously you'd create the state file programmatically, but this is just an example of what it would look like. So what I want to show is, let's say you do have a state object like this. The question is, like, how can you use it? So in this example, let's say we're adding a hackable server to this list. What you can do is we can simply just go like state dot hackable servers dot push. So push will just add another array element to it. We can just push something else. So we just call this example. So push is a JavaScript function that can be used on any array. And so since hackable servers is an array, we can use push. So we've effectively added a new server to the hackable servers. So now we've got to write the content. So if we just want to do ns.write. We want the file name, which is the state file name, the data. Now the data has to be a string. So if you're trying to save, like in our example, we're almost we want to write the entire state object to the thing, and this obviously isn't a string. So what you can do, if you've got an object, an array, or anything, you just do json.stringify, and this will just turn any sort of object into the string version of it. So we can just do stringify state, and we want to write, which means effectively replace the file with this new state. So that's going to basically replace that file. And what we can do is we can now check it out. So if we have a look at if we say new state equals ns.read, we go state file name. So now the thing is, this is raw. So this is the entire file contents as a string. So this basically is just taking the JSON string version of this object, and it's just put it into this state. Now that's not really easy to work with. So what you can do, as long as it's a JSON object, like as long as it's JSON, which I'd highly recommend always using, you can simply just say var new state equals JSON dot parse new state raw. So what this will do is this will take the raw string, and turn it into an actual object. You can actually simplify this thing by actually doing it on this level here. So you can do this. You can go json.parse. So you can do this, which is what I end up doing. Just as long as you understand the concept behind it, is that this is going to do the raw file, and then json.parse turns it into a usable object. So once you've got that, the new state, And then what we can just literally do is just go print. So we can just print the new state dot hackable servers. So this command just puts it into the log file, and this ns.tail will open the log file. So if I just save this and I go run, tutorial. Oops, if I just do this, run tutorial1.js. Ooh, I've got a, I've got a, I've got something that changes which server I'm connected to. So if I just run this thing, tutorial one, what you'll see is as expected. So the state file started off with this hackable servers being noodles and food and stuff. We added example. We wrote it to the state file, and you can see that we've got example here. And then obviously we just all we did here to read it and then just print it to the log file. So this is sort of showing you about how you can use a file system, I guess, to just save content. And actually, if we should actually just look at the file. So if you have a look at the state file, you'll see that it's just a JSON. It's a JSON string. Yeah, it's just a JSON string of the stuff. So I highly recommend this type of state file. And where it's powerful is when you actually start sharing it between scripts. So if you had some script that actually worked out what your hackable servers were, then in a second script you can do stuff with it. So if we want to read the state, so what we want to do in this example is we pretty much want to read the hackable servers, and basically print some stats out about it. So we want to read the data from the state file. So we just go var state equals json.parse, and then we just need the ns.read shoot.state.txt. Right, so this is the reading of the state file, but just straight away turning it into an object. So we've already done that. So we want to create a new server status file. So what we do is ns.write. We'll call this server status.txt, empty data, and just write. So just creates an empty file. And what we want to do is we want to loop. So we want to loop through the hackable servers. So in this particular case, we first have to get the hackable servers, or I find it a bit cleaner. So if you do hackable servers equals state dot hackable servers, and then if we want to loop through them, we can just do a simple for loop. So var x equals 0. So what's the starting value of your index? What's the condition that the loop will keep running for? So we want x less than hackable servers dot length, which this will give you the number of entries in the array. And then after each iteration, what do you do with the index? We want to increase it by 1. So this will basically loop through all the hackable servers, however big they are. So what we want is to grab the server from it. So the server equals hackable servers at the index. So this will give us. So when you look at if this is what the hackable server data looks like. So when x is 0, we're going to pull out noodles. When x is 1, we're going to pull out food and stuff. And when x is 2, we're going to pull out example. The example is actually a bad thing because it's not a real server. I might need to change this to something else, like INGym. So let's just run that again, and we've got INGym now in the state file, which is great. That'll help. So if we go back to the initial thing here, so this is what we're trying to do. So once we're looping through these hackable servers, what I want to do, how we can use this is actually by I guess populating the file with useful information. So what we can do is say var, so what the server name obviously, so we can see var ns dot, I know there's something about ports, so we can do like get ports required. No, it's hack. Okay, maybe I have to do like ports equals ns dot get okay, we can get this. let's just change this. So we can call this min hacking equals that var max money equals ns dot get server max money. Pass it server. You want the current money as well. So ns dot get get server money available. Server. So sort of, if you're trying to find a function, I find it easy just to write some word that's semi-related. So if we're trying to find like the security, like the min security, we can do ns dot, just type security, and you sort of start getting like, get server min security level, up server, and var current security equals ns dot get secure, get server security level. All right, that should do. And then what we can do is just do ns dot write. So I've got an empty file, so let's just do server status.txt. The data that we want to write is we actually want to write a bit of a string, so I'm going to write server plus a little bit of spacing plus min hacking plus a little bit of spacing plus max money, some spacing, secure money, plus min sec plus cur sec. All right, so so if that's what our thing looks like, so we want to write that string, and then we want to make sure we append it. So that'll mean, so for every row we'll get one of these, and lastly we also have to do our own new line characters, otherwise they'll write on the same line. So if we write this, so actually I should change this from server status, this has to be shoot server status. Okay, so we had the state over the state in, like, we created the state in this tutorial 1, and now we're trying to read the state in tutorial 2. And so, yeah, we get the contents of it. We get the contents of the state file. We clear the server status file so that we get fresh data. We get the hackable servers and we loop through them. We get some interesting data, and then we populate it into a record. And then we actually don't need this because it won't tell us anything. So let's save that. So now when we go to run this, so we run tutorial 2. All went well. So now let's open up server status, and you can see that we've got, so here's our server. This is our minimum hacking required. This is the max money, and then we've got the current money, and then we've got the minimum security level and the current security level. Now, obviously, there's a few things here. The numbers are not like, super easy to read. So there's a few little functions that you can use to clean that up. One of them is called is ns.format number. So if you just format number, comma 2, so this just puts it into 2 decimal places. And we'll do the same thing here. ns.format number 2. And because these are money, we actually can just do a quick, like an easy just prefix of them. And because we're getting a bit long, we can pull this one down. So I can do format number 2 and format number 2. You don't have to do 2 decimal places, so that's the most useful. So if we do this and we run it again, so we run the tutorial again and we reopen up the file, you have to, if you've already had it open, you have to click the refresh button. Then you'll see that the numbers get changed into something more readable. So this is obviously 5.63 million. That is not, I've clicked on the RAM. I've some format RAM. Yeah, that's exactly what's happened. We want format number. I was going to say that didn't make any sense at all. Okay, so this was format RAM. We just got to change it to that. So again, we just run that. We run that again, and we check out the server state. And yeah, that's been fixed up. And yeah, so this is just like, for me, I've found that like the state's like a big thing. I found it to be quite useful. So for instance, I use it in a lot of different places, but like I have a script currently that I'm using it to evaluate, which server is best to spend my resources hacking. So this is actually the dollars per second. So you can see that basically this is the highest dollars per second. So I actually go and focus all servers on this, but I have some efficiency issues. Like the current security is like blowing out of the water. And yeah, I've got some efficiencies I need to clean up with my scripts. But the point is that this evaluate hacks, this reads all the servers that we have actually hacked, and it just pulls up various information like your hack time, the expected dollars per hack, and then therefore dollars per second and whatnot. So it's just an example of how to use this state. Yeah. So if you're not using state to pass data between files, yeah, highly recommend it. Yeah, that's it for this little run through. All right, I'm out.